and welcome to episode 2 of Lessons Learned, the UK Sailmakers podcast, where sailors share their knowledge to help others improve their skills. I'm Buttons Padine for UK Sailmakers, and today I'm speaking with Andrew Weiss, who with his wife Linda has owned a series of boats named Christopher Dragon. Andrew will become Vice Commodore of the Storm Trestle Club in January. He's about to become Rear Commodore at Larchmont Yacht Club, and by anyone's account, he's a very, very successful sailor, both offshore and around the buoys. Spoiler alert, I've had the pleasure of sailing with Andrew for many years. Backing up my claim that he's successful, in 2022 alone, the current Christopher Dragon, an Italia 1198, was the overall winner of the Lauderdale Key West race 2 days off the boat, the Larchmont Yacht Club Edloo race, the Block Island race, Sailing World's ORC Championship, where they got second, the New York Yacht Club Annual, where they got third. They won their class in the Bermuda Race and finished 4th overall. They finished 2nd class in the very windless and painful Vineyard Race. And Dragon won ORC in both the Spring and Fall American Yacht Club Series. And on top of that, for those efforts, Andrew received both the Tuna Trophy and the Northern Ocean Racing Trophy. Welcome, Andrew, to Lessons Learned.
Thank you. It's a little embarrassing entry there. Okay year.
Andrew, our friend Butch Ulmer said to me at one point when we were talking about your season that he believes that winning races on Long Island Sound is the hardest place to win them because so many good competitors are here. To say that you've had an exceptional season this year, as well as in the past, would be an understatement. What do you think about the caliber of the sailing and competition on Long Island Sound alone?
It's been pretty tough over the years. Some great sailors come from here. It is a little tough place to sail. The wind is light, the wind is variable, the wind picks up, the wind drops down. It's not like ocean racing sailing where you have, you know what the gradient's going to be, the wind comes in. But it was a great place to learn to sail the last, I guess, 55 years.
Well, before we go on, perhaps you could answer the question that I'm sure you've answered any number of times, and that's the derivation of the name Christopher Dragon.
The name originally came from my stepmother's imaginary pet dragon. My father named the first boat that in 1972, and the name has stuck since then. It's been a family boat name, which we're proud to keep on all our boats. And
your dad, Steve, started the series of dragons, but how many have there been, and which have been your favorites?
Well, there's been 12. This is the 12th boat. It's kind of hard to say which is your favorite. It's like your children on it. There's been some I hated on it. The two that stick in my mind till this boat that have been the favorite is when my father had CNC yachts design and build the CNC 42. It was our real first chance that we had done as a family, entering into ocean racing and entering into the super competitive world. It was IOR back then. And the boat that we've had the most fun as a family, this is for Linda and I and people we sail with every day, I would say was the J122 that we got in 2007.
Yeah, you always said you liked the 122. I know you've been sailing for a long time, but you've been a UK Sailmaker customer for a long time too. Just thoughts on that?
It's been a great relationship. You can get sales from a lot of people. Some be better or worse, but it comes down to me with the relationship of who you have and the service you get from it. And my father first got sales for the Ranger 33 in 1972 from UK. It wasn't UK, it was Ulmer Sales back then. I think he got it because Butch and Howard McMichael and Joe Fontenelle had a Ranger 33 called Puff. And he said, well, they're winning everything. We'll get the same sales they got. But it started, for me, a lifetime relationship with Butch and with Ulmer UK Sales.
And you have some other folks that have sailed with you too, right?
we've had it in the UK family. We've had, of course, you've sailed us a number of times. Adam, I think Adam and I started sailing my father's boat probably about 25, 30 years ago. And we've had Pat Considine, which Butch introduced me to about 15 years ago. And it turns out Pat and I are just about the exact same age, had a lot of same sailing experiences, and have had a good relationship over the last 15 years, the last 3 or 4 boats working together on the sail design.
And I know that Emmett Dickheiser is sailing with you a bunch now, too.
Oh, I forgot about Emmett. I forgot Emmett. Emmett has been great. We've dragged him along in, we had the Curve 40, we met him, and he's been a great asset, fantastic on service. Whenever we need something, it comes right back, and a good friend.
Great. So let's shift gears to the boat a little bit. The current Christopher Dragon, as I said, is an Italia 1198. And I know that you started racing it, I think, was it 2 days after you got off the boat from Europe? Give us the background and tell us what you've done to the boat so far.
Well, it sort of goes backwards if you want to start that. The boat we had before this was probably, it's my fault, probably a midlife crisis mistake when we had the Curve 40. And we realized it did not fit into any of the rating rules that were in the US. And no matter how hard we tried, we did miserable with it most of the time. A couple of times we did well. So we tried to find a boat that went back to the fun we had on the 122, but would fit the rules and be fairly easy to sail with the type of people we have on the boat. And we started working on the boat, looking around for a boat last September, I think, and talked to Pat quite a bit about what boat to get, to Butch quite a bit, talked to some of the UK sailmakers through Butch in Italy on what boats they thought would be good for ORC. And we settled on the Italia and started working with the designer and Pat on what would do next for the boat.
Well, what have you done with the boat and the rig itself so far?
Okay, so we got the boat, we took it as it was. It had symmetrical spinnakers and asymmetrical sails. Its mainsail seemed kind of small to us. We did the first race with the Bermuda Race with the boat as is, decided not to touch it. Pat came sailing with us in that event. Then we started to try to build a sail plan for the Kuiper racing we were going to do, which is sort of a mix, 40, 50, I'd say 50% day racing and 50% distance racing. And to be geared towards the lighter air we see on the East Coast of the US. So with the Pat and with Matteo, who's the designer of the boat, we told him what we wanted, and we worked on putting a bigger main in the boat. It was the first step we did. After doing one race, we realized that the switch back and forth, symmetrical, asymmetrical, really didn't suit us or the condition we sail in the US. So we added much bigger asymmetrical spinnakers. The boat had a 120 meter asymmetrical, and around the same time symmetrical, we went to a 150-ish asym sail on the boat. We held off on doing jibs till later in the year. We said we'll work on the jibs till post Bermuda to see what the boat is like. And we worked on how to optimize the boat for 2 things: for sailing in ORC and for ease offshore. And going back and forth on that, we ended up with spending an enormous amount of time on coming up on an A3 type sail. And I can tell you that Pat, Butch, myself had many emails, discussions, disagreements, agreements on what this sail would look like. And that has been the sail that really Pat did a fabulous job designing and has really been the key to a lot of our success in distance racing. So it's a soft sail, an A3. We ended up at a size just about 120 meters, a lot smaller than a traditional A3 would be, and a lot bigger than a code 0. But we take no rating penalty under ORC for it. But we have a sail that, except for about 5 or 10 degrees true angle where you'd have the code 0 working, appears to be a better, faster, more versatile sail.
And how did you set it in the Vineyard Race where you had some breeze?
Well, the Vineyard Race wasn't that much breeze. We used it.
I mean, the Block Island Race.
Yeah. So the Block Island Race, we came off the starting line. Everybody set code zeros except us. We didn't have one, and they all were reaching higher, and some were going lower. Some had regular spinnakers. We set the sail up right after the start of the Block Island Race, and reached down the sound with it. Our sister ship had a code zero up, and they would go a little higher. It's because they'd be faster, but by the time we got the sound, it really did well for us. We ended up we were a little overpowered at times, so we introduced a reef into the boat. Found that was a really good combination on it. And when we were going out to go out plumb get our bow foredeck, which Morgan Bennett, who sailed with us for like 15 years, said, "I know what's going to happen here. We're going to go through the gut. You're going to have this spinnaker up. We're not going to clear a Pine Point. You're going to be screaming and yelling at me to put the jib up on it." See, saying, "Don't do it." And I said, "I'm not taking the spinnaker down." Before. And we were able to reach up with the spinnaker, clear Pine Point. It's been a really versatile sail, much more than we expected. We used it for, I think, about 30, 35 hours of the Bermuda Race this year, too.
That was going through the stream, I believe, right?
Right. We entered the stream with our A2 up, and it was blowing 20, 25 knots. And we said, let's keep the A2 up. And finally said, we're going to blow out the A2. It's going to go beyond my steering ability and beyond our payability on it. We jibed with a jib, put the A3 up on a run, and we're really surprised how many boats we were passing who were out of control. We kept it up through the Gulf Stream, jibed out of the Gulf Stream, where we saw a bunch of boats with LRHs up, code zeros, jibs up, spinnakers up, much bigger than us, and we powered right through to where we wanted to be on this donut of current, and had the A3 up, I think, from Saturday night to Monday morning.
That's a lot for one sail. That's great. Andrew, you told a funny story about the Lauderdale race, where you had some young people on the bow and they were confronted with symmetrical spinnakers. Yeah.
So we had my son sailing the race and two other people on the bow, all early 2030s, and we put the pole up, and it was like a comedy of errors. We first getting the spinnaker up took about 10 minutes on that with all the lines. They put the pole up. They dropped the pole on their head a couple of times on it. Attempted to do jibes, which the pole would either fall down on the inboard end at the mast or the outboard end. And it was, I after going for 2 hours, I said, this is not for us. It's not going to work out on that part. But it worked out for the race, because we were able to sail a little lower than other people, and it worked well. But it was quickly realized we had been sailing with a pole, and I think since my father got the J130, it was not going to be what we envisioned for our future.
Well, Butch always talks about when you go offshore to take your spinnaker pole with you, because when the wind gets too big for any sort of spinnaker, you're going downwind, you can wing on wing your number 4.
Yeah. So we did have taken the pole on a number of distance races, taking Butch's advice on it. I've never quite given up to the point of going wing on wing. I could bring myself to do it a couple of times. And there were a number of people doing it in the Bermuda Race, but when we put the A3 up, we were pretty much in control. So we gutted it out, but it's we'll get there one day, or won't get there one day to doing it.
Specialty sails. I know that you get your J1, 2, 3, and all that, and 4, and you get your main sails. Did you work with Pat on any flying jibs or anything like that?
So we did all that for other boats. We spent a lot of time on that on the Curve 40. This boat, our objective for this year was to keep it simple. And while you might not think the A3 is a specialty sail, it really had a lot of effort put into the design and the size, and where it went and became our universal specialty sail. It doesn't really look like anybody's other's A3. I mean, you could call it whatever you want to call it. You could call it a soft code 0 or an A3, but it is the specialty sail on this boat that we've put together. Since then, we spent a lot of time on we thought the boat was a little slow in light air, upwind, and we worked over the summer with Pat on doing a new jib for the boat, maximizing size. So we actually, with that, we changed the lower spreaders to a boomerang spreader, so they bend around and the leech can be a little longer in the girths. And we measured the boat several times with Emmett. We got the mast, out the mast. We built a maximum size light air jib for the boat, which we did out of X-Drive this summer.
Oh, interesting. Because most of your upwind sails are titanium, right?
Everything else has been titanium. We did this sail to want to see if we got it right, not spend all the money on titanium to begin with. But frankly, the sail out of X-Drive has been great. Yeah, I was not a believer in it. We've been at the upper price point of sales, and I don't see any reason why we would keep a light number one doing an X-Drive going forward. This sail has been fine.
The X-Drive can be done with different kinds of yarns in it. Did you get carbon?
We got the deluxe carbon version of it, but it was shockingly affordable compared to what a titanium jib would be.
The full Grand Prix option.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about your philosophy on crew, because I know a lot of boats that are winning these days are fully pro'd up, and they spend more money on their crew than they do on rum. And I don't know if I think that's the way to balance. But you have a different.
We drink a lot of rum. We drink a lot of rum here.
But tell us, share your philosophy on crew composition.
Well, it sort of goes back to a piece. We've been sailing, good or for bad. I took some time off when my kids were born, but we've been sailing since the 70s, and I came back probably full program in 2004, 2005. I don't think it's sustainable to have for the long term, to have a pro crew or full Cat 3, and I'm not sure what enjoyment you get out of it as an owner. You're not going to learn how to sail yourself in doing it. And we have tried to sail with friends and grown younger people on the boat into our program. So everybody here hopefully likes each other, has had a good time. We've sailed this year with virtually the same crew all year. And it's virtually 70% of the crew that we were sailing with 15 years ago as a team. We're as you know, we're all friends. We have barbecues at the house here. When we go to events, we go together. But with a pro crew, what I notice is you see the pro crew at an event, they do the race and they're gone the next day, and they're doing what they should be doing. Right. The boat go as fast as possible, nothing wrong with them. But to have a long-term program and sail in the Sound, sail major races, and have satisfaction as, for me, as owner in a family, I think it's doing it the way we do it works out much better for our program.
We're going to be sharing this podcast with a lot of people that are trying to figure out how to make their boats smarter, faster. What 3 things would you offer somebody as the low-lying fruit to do to look at their boat? The
first thing you have to do, and everybody says the same, is the bottom of the boat. If you're going to sail or do something, you got to have some sort of racing bottom, make sure it's smooth and clean on it. It's really important in any boat to do it. The next piece is your team, your crew. You may not have the best crew the first day, but as we discussed, if you work with the same people, everybody sort of gets to know what they're doing, everybody's positioned on the boat, it really is, the rewards are greater for yourself and on the race course with it. And when we just sail, we did the fall series here in American, we got out of a lot of jams and just with our crew work, and people never rely on each other.
There's a lot to be said to that, because I mean, you were intimately involved with the Strong Trysail Intercollegiate Regatta last month, or earlier this month. And when I was working with the winning team from the University of Wisconsin, we sat down and everybody explained what their job was to everybody else. Everybody agreed to stay in their box, and we acknowledged that we were going to win or lose this regatta in the corners. And I can't think of a messed up corner we've ever done on a Dragon. So it makes all sorts of sense.
We are so lucky that when we get to a mark, the sails go up and down. I don't have to worry about it. And you see people losing major boat lengths there. And the third piece is sails. I think people get all hooked up if they got to have the biggest sailmaker in the world. They got to get this and that, and they got to get sails that they're confident in on it, and work with whoever sailmaker they are to get their sails right for their boat. It's how the sails fit the boat, what your service goes through, that it really makes it in the end. Not that the sail is 4 seconds faster upwind or downwind. Those are three pieces.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Andrew, thanks for taking the time to speak with us, and continued success with Christopher Dragon. And for all of you out there, look for the next episode of Lessons Learned in a couple of weeks. And if there's a topic or somebody that you'd like us to talk to or share a thought with us, email Adam Laurie at adam@uksailmakers.com. Until then, this is Buttons Padine for UK Sailmakers, signing off.